What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Good Success Podcast. I am your host, Josh Culler, and today we got a special guest with us that we're going to be interviewing, and this guy is a rock star. We have met him. Al, I don't know how long you've known Tom. Did you just meet him on the cruise this past week, or have you known him for a while?
I just know Tom, but it turns out that we know the same people, so it's just a matter of time before we collided. Yeah,
correct.
It's a matter of time.
Correct. Yeah, we have very similar networks, so that's good to hear. And you guys know Tom Olson, the president and owner of Good Success, and Tom connected with Al Williamson here. I believe it was a week ago, or when you guys are listening to this, it might be a couple weeks ago, however long. But it was on a Financial Friends Network cruise. Is that correct, Al?
That's right. And
awesome.
While we're talking about Tom,
let's talk a little bit more about Tom.
Tom's a regular-looking guy. You would never know that this guy. He's got some deep pockets because he's such a humble guy. Yeah. For real. See him playing with this kid in the pool and everything. He's just a regular, really good guy. So I like him a lot.
Awesome. Well, that's good to hear. We love Tom too, and he does. He's the same person meeting people on the outside of our network that he is, with his employees and everybody that works with him. So that's fantastic to hear. So Tom, if you're listening, great job, buddy. Great job. So I'm going to introduce Al. I'm going to have him introduce himself. But before we do that, guys, I'm going to mention our Good Success Mastermind. So it is coming up here in, looking at my calendar right now, it looks like 3 weeks from this coming Wednesday, and it has just snuck up on us, the first quarter mastermind of 2018. So we have a full year completed last year, our first 4 masterminds, and we are just so ecstatic about this next event coming up. We have a lot of new attendees, a lot of new potential networking that's going to be happening at the event. We are going to do it in Dallas, and you guys, if you've been listening to our podcast, the last few podcasts, the reason is because nobody wants to be in Chicago in February. Al, where are you from?
I'm in Sacramento, California, baby.
Okay, all right. So
nice and toasty.
So you wouldn't want to be in, you wouldn't want to be in Chicago in February either. It's not. Right now, it's actually 50 degrees, and there's no snow on the ground. So we got a heat wave going on right now. So, but still, you never know with this area. So we want to make sure that we don't, bring our mastermind members up in February and it ends up being like -12 like it has been before. So Dallas, Texas, guys, that's where we're going to have the mastermind in February. The dates are February 5, 6, and 7. Go to goodsuccess.com/mastermind to find out more and to apply there. We don't just let anybody in. We want to make sure that we vet, yes, your numbers and your experience, but also your character and how you treat others, what you do with your life, why you're doing it. And just, we don't bring people in that beat their chest the whole time, because that's not what our mastermind's about. It's not just a real estate investor mastermind. It is an experience. And that's what we try to push, is the great experience that you guys would have here. And so we have a very strong community, a very tight-knit group of people that are in the mastermind. And so we actually love bringing people in that have the same mindsets, the same characteristics and everything. And so we want to make sure that not just anybody gets in there. So that's why we have an application on the actual website. If you guys go check it out, make sure you do that. goodsuccess.com/mastermind. So without further ado, Al, let's go ahead and get into this podcast. I'm very excited about this. This is the first time that we've had somebody that's this big into property management on the podcast. At some point, we're going to get Mr. Landlord Jeffrey Taylor in here. I know you've spoke with him a few times at events or whatnot that I've seen. And so at some point we'll get him in here.
He's a giant, man.
He is. He's such a good guy too. He's just a solid, humble spirit that when you come across him, you're like, oh, you actually do this kind of stuff, But he's a great guy. But Al has some great experience, some great numbers, and I love the content that you put out, Al. I've checked it out a little bit the past couple of weeks when Tom had me connect with you to get you on our podcast, and I just love it to death. It's very genuine and very educational content, and it's not a lot of sales pitching, so I love it. Al, go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience. For those of you who are listening right now that don't know who Al Williamson is, tell us who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it.
Okay. Well, I am Monique's husband. Well known.
So that's how you introduce yourself?
I introduce myself. I'm Monique's husband. I got awesome. 2 girls. So we live in Sacramento, California. And I'm pretty much a nerd. I'm a civil engineer. my background, civil engineering, and real estate really came easy. I really, really enjoy real estate. And I started investing in 1996. And I'm now at the point where I have enough passive to cover our simple lifestyle. So I could stop engineering and be a full-time landlord scientist, what I call myself now.
Yeah, a landlord scientist.
Yes.
That's a new market.
That's a new market. You gotta be the only one.
Gotta
be the only one.
Awesome. All right. So, and then Al, I'm going to have you kind of talk about your education platform a little bit and how people can connect with you, but that's going to be question number 3. So let's go ahead and go into the next one. So how and why did you get started in real estate? You said 1996, is that correct?
Yeah, 96. 96.
Okay, so just so you know, I was 3 years old when you got into real estate. So I just want to make you feel young.
So long, man? You could have jumped in.
I want to make you feel young. So anyway.
That's all right. That's all right. So,
why and how?
I was getting married. You married, Josh?
In October.
Okay.
I'm engaged right now, but October, it's coming.
So you're thinking about plans in the future. Yeah. Absolutely. So I was there. I was at a church picnic, and James Williams came up to me and started talking. Now James Williams, he slipped me a $50 at graduation from college. So I thought really highly of him. Just handing me cash and patting me on the back. So he came up to me and he said, you ought to think about duplexes instead of buying a single family home. You guys live in one side of it. Go look into that. So that's all I need. No one's ever said anything like that to me. So I started reading about it. This is before the internet, really. This is 96. So I went to the library. Huh?
Yeah.
Library, yes. And I worked from one side of the shelf to the other side, reading about real estate and landlording and property management, and passive income. And the numbers came really easy to me because I was an engineer, lots of algebra. Had to take it a couple of times, flunked it and took it, passed it.
Yeah.
Eventually started teaching algebra. Started teaching algebra. So the numbers came well to me, and I really, really enjoyed that whole idea of higher, better use, and that you could add your creativity to real estate and make it increase the value, increase your cash flow. So I love that part of it.
Fantastic. That's awesome. So I got a question for you that's not actually on the podcast list of questions that I sent to you earlier today. So 96. So about 10 years later, something happened.
Okay. Yeah.
How did you get through that?
The 2008? That was by the grace of God. That's all I can say, because at the time I had an 8-unit apartment complex and the single family home right next to it. Okay. And I was buying in a relatively affordable community. It was a community that I was really trying to help with a neighborhood revitalization. So I was in the affordable housing part of it. So I thought I was insulated from recession proof.
Yeah.
I guess Glenn Strongberg is more recession proof than me, but I was on that side of it. But my tenants were getting laid off. So the income was, and these were in all of Sacramento, in California, it seemed like everyone was hurt. It's not like I could just trade them out for better tenants, kick them out. And they were good people too. So I started trying to figure out how I could pay that mortgage without relying on their income. I started really broadening my what I knew was true, that there are many other ways to make income besides just rents. That thought has been planted deep in my heart for a long time. So I had to put up and start figuring that out. So that's what I did that. And I was also paying out of my own pocket to stay afloat and until things got over. So I was just piecing it together. It's all I can say is pay your tithes, man.
Yeah, no kidding.
Get through, because you can get through some things, but it's like, God, I paid my tithes and I know I can, rely on you. I just do not want to turn this 8-unit building back in, and people were handing over their keys. I was really, I was really trying to make the neighborhood better, really trying to get rid of the drug dealers and bring some businesses back. And if I gave up, I knew I was going to regret that. That'd be something I was going to regret on my deathbed. I had a chance, and I took an easy way out. And I should have stayed, I did. But you have to stay. Sometimes when it's a tough time and you're called to do something, that you're just going through the fire. You just have to go through the fire. So that's how I did it. I can't take any credit. I went through it, and I learned a whole bunch of things and came out better for it.
That's incredible. That's such an incredible story. I actually, everybody that we get on our podcast, I always ask that question if they went through the recession, and every story is different. Every single story is different. And it is just, it's so like heartwarming to hear how they went through it and they recovered and now they're thriving again. But then they went through that recession and learned from what they did. And now if that, Tom talks about the real estate cycle and how he predicts that it's going to be coming up again soon. And those people like yourself that went through it, you're going to be prepared for the next one.
Already,
so that's
baby.
Incredible. You ready to go? You're like, bring it on now.
I got some dry powder. Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. All right. So yeah, I had to ask that question because that's just, I think that's incredible. We have a lot of people that are on our platform that listen to our podcasts, that watch all of our content, and they're either just getting into real estate or, they're thinking about getting into real estate. And so, telling stories like this, real life scenarios, is very important. I feel like, especially from somebody that just is thriving now in their business that went through that. So that's incredible to hear. So tell us a little bit about Leading Landlords. So this is your website, and I believe this is pretty much your brand. So tell us a little bit about what it is, what you offer there. I know you have I saw that you have webinars that you make happen there. I love the blogs that are all on your website. So tell us a little bit about what Leading Landlord is and how people can connect with it.
Okay. Well, Leading Landlord really came in 2011 when I needed to hold myself accountable to figuring this thing out about how to pay your mortgage without relying on your tenants. There's got to be more to landlording, this whole real estate business, than just tweaking your tenants and upping the rent. That just didn't sound like diversity. Didn't sound like any other business does that. Just relies on one source of income. So I started studying all these other ideas, and I wanted a place to collect them and to build a community. It really was my attempt to get a mastermind going, to get other people's input to it. So I had to put myself out there and tell people what the goals I was shooting for, really big goals to generate enough side income to pay a $1,600 mortgage, And in turn, of course, if you could figure that out, then you can force the appreciation of a commercial building and, make a lot of money if you can unlock that code. So that's what I did. I did that to hold myself accountable and let people know different things I was studying, and also to get other input so I could go much further. You can go a lot further if you have other people's input, and if you can get their opinion from a different perspective or a different part of the country, it really, really helps.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because every market's different. It's just there's night and day differences between markets. I mean, we have guys in our mastermind that are in Dallas and then guys that are in North Carolina, and they're just two totally different worlds almost. Right. So that's completely awesome. So I love the fact that what's on your platform is genuine. Like I told you at the beginning of the podcast, that's very key with people, because we come a lot of real estate educators that are gurus that didn't go through the recession. They've done like 10 deals and they're like, oh, I can teach everybody how to do this.
Right.
And it's just, they're sitting with their Ferraris behind them after they just cashed a $50,000 check, which really, they only, netted like 3% of that. But, that is just, there's so many people out there that it's not genuine. It's not education from experience. It's education from, hey, I just sold one deal. Now I can teach the world how to do it. Right. And it's just, there's so many variables that can happen with education. And that's why, we try to push it out, because people that are with us, Tom went through the recession and he has tons of experience with almost everything that's real estate related. And then we have people in our network that are the same thing. You and I and Tom all have almost the same network. There might be people definitely outside of that, but the core knit people that are inside of that are very good educators. Guys, I think of guys like, Jim Ingersoll. We've had him on our podcast several times, and he's such a stud when it comes to teaching people about real estate because of the experience he's had. And right. It's, just from what he's gone through. And he was one of the guys that went through the recession and, made it out alive. And so that's just incredible to hear when somebody goes through something like that and then can teach others how to get through it if it comes again, and, how to thrive now. So right. Great. All right. So on your leadinglandlord.com website, you have a section, I believe it goes to resources, and you have a book, 40 ways to increase the net income of your rental property. 40 is a lot, man. How did you come up with that? How did you come up with 40 ways to increase your net worth, man?
I was trying to
tell us a little bit about the book.
It's so hard, man. So the book was, I was trying to gather ways to pay the mortgage just without relying on the tenants at all. So I started this journey to come up with 50 ways.
50. You got the 40, so that's a good start.
I got the 40, man. It was hard to get really good ideas that I was proud of. So I was cornering people, and I was inventing things, and I was studying all every business I could find, every business model. And essentially, there's some things I could use and some things I couldn't, but I wanted to collect them all so someone could just read the book and save themselves 7 years of research collecting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what it's about. It really breaks down the ideas into 12 different categories. And inside each category or bucket, I write a business plan for a particular idea. Like the categories are, I got them here: transportation, power plant, be the bank, broadcast station, fee and commission generator. These are all the different ways to use a rental property. Commerce center, you can think of it as a fitness center, a land use of the property, what's outside of your building. Hospitality, ad agency, placemaking, storage facility, all those types of things that a regular rental, you can think about your rental as also a storage facility, right? It has that use that you can monetize if you focus on it.
Wow.
So that's what the book's about, helping you focus on different aspects of your property besides just tenants rent.
Awesome. And that's, a lot of people think of it just as, I'm going to throw a tenant in there and that's going to be my income. And right. So when I came across this on your website, I was like, that caught my eye immediately. I was like, man, that's pretty cool. So how do we do it? So guys, go check it out. Go to his website. I believe it's leadinglandlord.com. If you type in leadinglandlord.com, go to resources and scroll down. He has his book, the Airbnb for landlords, which I'm a little curious about too. I mean, I didn't even see that you're heavily involved in Airbnbs until I started really digging into it, with finding out a little bit more about you and what you do and everything. So Airbnbs, I mean, what are the big benefits about it for you?
Wow. So that's a big category. Let's see. So Airbnb is like the entry gate to corporate housing.
Okay.
So I always encourage people, that's the easiest way. You got to be able to do Airbnb so you can understand the different opportunities that surround you. You'll start seeing them. And then from there, you can pick a particular niche of a type of person who's coming to your area, and then go deep into that and start specializing in that particular group of people. And that's how you can get more margin. And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. It's not how many rental properties you have. Yeah. It's about the spread, how profitable each rental property is. Who cares if you have 100 of them?
Right.
If they just break even.
Man, so that's a totally different point of view then, because, most people think, obviously you're going to get something that's a good deal, something that's going to, get you a cash flow. But you're talking like totally different story on like almost studying where the actual house is, and then broadening that, and, making your view on the market a little bit better. So that's really, that's intense. So, and that's what's in the book then that you have there too.
No, the book is a tool. It's kind of a resource guide to get you there. But my overall philosophy is to improve your lifestyle. It's all about cash flow, and cash flow is about spreads.
Mm-hmm.
It's not brick and mortar at all. The brick and mortar part, how many houses you have, will help your wealth if you can pay it off, and if you don't stress yourself to death by having 100. Yeah. I think people really want the cash flow of 100 rentals. They don't really want 100 rentals. They want the cash flow. And my whole platform is about, hey, let's make one rental house cash flow equivalent to 10 rental houses.
So it's all about efficiency for you.
It's about not only efficiency, it's about reducing the expenses and increasing the income so that you have a higher net. And it's about that spread. And in efficiencies, if you can do that with one of them, to make it worth 5 of them, and only have one roof and one water heater and one set of property taxes, then your lifestyle is better because you have less stress in your life.
Right.
More passive cash flow.
Man, that's great. And that's a totally different point of view than what most people look at Airbnbs as. So that's great. So you guys go check it out. It's in the same section as the book for 40 ways to increase the net income of your rental property. Go to leadinglandlord.com/resources, and that's where it'll be. So you guys go check it out. Man, good stuff. I'm excited about that. I'm sure I'm going to check that out. So anyway, so next thing we got is, this is more of the education, that the value I'm wanting to pull out of your specific expertise, right? So we talked a little bit about who you are. So we built the value of who you are. We have some resources to refer people to see, how valuable your information actually is. So now bringing it down to an educational piece for the podcast.
Okay.
What is the single most important thing for a property manager to focus on to grow their portfolio?
Okay. So a property manager, let's break that into 2 parts.
Okay.
So there'd be a property manager that I would hire. There's that person. And then there's the owner or the visionary of the property. Okay. So the property, if I hired a property manager, I would want them just to focus on bolting on different income streams, looking for other things that they could do to bring in more income besides just collect rents and tell the tenant, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that.
Right.
I want them to start saying, yes, you can do things, and this is how much it's going to cost. And also bring it to my attention, hey, you're on an acre of property. Why don't we harvest bees right over in the very corner and change the whole land use to agriculture and slash your property taxes down to, pennies.
Wow.
I want someone thinking like that as a property manager. Okay. So now as an owner, I'm gonna flip it over. But before I leave property managers typically get 8 to 10% of the gross income. That's kind of how they're paid. So I always encourage people to, as a property manager, they're going to earn more if they can get your gross income up. So make sure if they can have ancillary income, that they can get a part of that.
So ancillary sales is something that you really heavily focus on when it comes to property management too.
Yeah, I want them to have the ability to think cleverly and think about how to monetize. If I have extra area, then I might be able to use for RV parking. That's going to bring in another $100 a month, my property or something like that.
Yeah,
I want them thinking about that. Now, as the owner, to grow your portfolio, again, I'm thinking you want to grow your spreads.
Yeah, here we go again.
Yeah, here we go again. It's not about how many you have, for sure. for sure. Like I have, I'm down to one property now that I own, and then I control 7 others. But I don't own them, so I control them because I can get more spreads from them. I'm protected from the maintenance cost, because the maintenance cost is really what wipes out your profits as a rental owner.
Yeah.
Because one paint job could take 2 years worth of profits from you.
Yeah.
So again, it's not how many you own, how much maintenance you own. It's about how much you can actually use to improve your lifestyle and feed your family, those types of things. So as you grow your portfolio, grow the value of value of your portfolio, not the number.
It's not about growing the quantity, it's the quality of it.
Right. The quality of it, the value of it. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, that's good to hear. So I think that's very important, because a lot of people think that, in order to make a good income stream, they need 150 properties in their portfolio within, a year. And it's like, no, you don't have to do that. You got to have a select few and then focus on those. And that's exactly what you're talking about, which is, great to hear and back up. So, awesome. So
here's go ahead. Let me add something. You can improve the value, the cash flow of any rental property by changing how you use that property. This is in addition to the 40 regs. Okay. This is
the other 10 to get to that 50 then.
Oh yeah. So you see my website, I got 20, which is almost 26 now, different ways of creating niche rentals for your property. So you change how you use it. You stop marketing to people on Craigslist, and you start going more narrow. You start customizing your property for a particular person. For example, just simply putting furnishings in your place and renting it long term, you're going to make 30% more.
Wow.
Just a simple furnished rental. And then, of course, if you change it to an Airbnb, you're flexing how long people have to stay. You're flexing your terms. But you can flex terms on, hey, this is for people who have pit bulls. And you can get a extra pet insurance policy, and you can mark up on that, more custom for, you can build a dog run in the back and put a dog door in, and all that stuff really dramatically increases how much cash flow you have with a very, very little. I put in a cat door. I took out the screen in the window, and I built a little wooden frame, and I put a cat door in it, and I closed the window around it, insulated it, and put a little perch on both sides so a cat could come in and out. And that's an extra $50 a month.
How much does that cost you to do?
It costs $70 worth of materials.
Yeah. So
that dramatically improves your cash flow, and now you're kind of setting up the place for someone who's a cat lover.
Right.
And people will pay for their pets. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Yes. People love their pets. It's crazy how much they love them. So you're going straight into like the teeth of somebody that's like, I love my cat and I need a place to stay where they'll appreciate my cat as much as I do.
Right.
So you're going very specific, and that's pretty ingenious. So is it tough to come away with, so obviously, so you're narrowing down the target market where you're going after. So you're going to get a lot less leads on that, right? But the quality of the leads will probably be a lot better because you're very specific now as opposed to very broad. Is that accurate to say it that way?
That's accurate to say almost, because now there's Facebook groups around everything. Local Facebook and meetup groups and everything. So it's easier than ever to target a particular person. Now here's the key, Josh. This is really the key to walk away with. It's not so much the amount of money that you're making. You really want to line it up so that you're doing something that you enjoy, that sparks joy in your life. Yeah. So if you are a cat lover, that works. If you like bicycles, then setting the place up for bicycles, and you're already want to be in that community, and you're renting to avid cyclists, and that just brings more happiness to your personal life as well as the money.
Interesting.
So there's more to it than just going after it. Like I specialize, one of my places specializes in traveling nurses. And my wife is a nurse. And I know oftentimes they come back and someone just died on them. You know, they need to decompress. So I set the place up with TVs and everywhere, and you know, everything's really comfortable.
Wow.
And I have other people, speaking of hospitals, who specialize in people who are recovering from having cancer treatments near the hospital. And they need sterile conditions, right? They need everything sterile. They need sterile shower curtains. They need highly sterile rooms for their families to stay, and also the patient to stay. All that stuff's really, really important. Thinking about microbial products that don't transmit microbial germs, things like that. So there's so many different niches. You see what I'm saying? It's not so much I changed how I use the property, and not really having to go spend a lot of money. I'm just really focusing on who it is, and where else, what other alternatives they have. Can they go to a hotel? Well, maybe they can, and this is how much that hotel costs. So I'm competing against that hotel now. So if I come in at 85% of that cost of that hotel, then I'm good.
Yeah.
So Airbnb back to Airbnb, that's a good way of, since they have so much artificial intelligence built in and they have such a reach, you definitely have to have a presence on there, and that gets you into the game. That's one of the avenues into the game.
Wow, that's incredible. That's some deep stuff too. And you could tell really just by the way you're talking about it, you think very deeply into just everything that you just said. That's crazy. I've actually never heard that before, and I like to hear if Tom's heard that before too, because we have our property management company that's getting started now, and that's intense, man.
Yeah, I need to come out
into that, don't you?
You guys got to fly me out, and I'll take a look at your properties, and I'll tell you how to make an extra $200 on each one.
Let's do it. I'm gonna as soon as we're off this podcast, I'm gonna go talk to our property manager and make sure that she knows to contact you. Okay.
Hey, but you got to pick me up from the airport with a nice stretch.
Hey, we'll get it hooked up. Okay. We'll bring you a party bus or something. I'll do you one.
All right.
All right. So I got just one more question here, and then we'll go into closing out the podcast. So this is the big one for people that are in our audience that are just now getting into real estate or have never done real estate, but they're thinking about getting into real estate. And we talked a little bit about this, and I like to incorporate, like I said, mentioned a couple times, I like to incorporate the whole going through the 2006, 2008, recession there. But maybe this answer isn't inside of that time era. But if you were talking to a person that was just getting into real estate, that maybe has done one deal, maybe they've done 2 or 3, or somebody that's thinking about getting into real estate, but they haven't yet, if they ask you what you wish you knew before you got into real estate investing, what would you tell them?
And this is such a good question.
It is a good question.
And my thinking has evolved. This is my latest thinking, okay?
Okay, here we go.
It's because there's always these real estate cycles. It always comes up, and it's easy to get a loan when it's up, and it's hard to get a loan when it's down. Mm-hmm. And because of that, and you want to buy when it's down, obviously.
Yeah. Because
of that, you need to know how to understand private lending and how to tap into people who have IRAs that you can borrow against, because they will loan you the money when times are hard.
Yeah.
Banks won't do it. And so that's the time to make your move, is when things are down. But you have to understand self-directed IRAs and private lending and how to deal with people there. So I would encourage them to, get a mentor, get inside a mastermind that has people who have some means and have some retirement savings and are looking. They're always looking for opportunities. And you need to have that network when things go sideways on you.
Yeah.
And that's when you want to make your move, Josh.
Perfect.
Josh, you hear what I'm saying, man?
I hear what you're saying.
I want you to know people, and because things are going to go back down.
Yeah.
And then I want you to have the guts to make a move when it's down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's good to hear. And we hammer hard network. Like we strongly believe in it. Jim Ingersoll always says your network is your net worth. And that's something we very heartily believe in. And that's, just what you just mentioned. And that will come through huge when times are hard. So
let me say something about Jim.
Yeah.
I've heard Jim a couple of times and I was like, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. But no. He's really breaking off the absolute truth, the fundamental, essential part of knowing how to work with other people and without the banks.
Yeah.
His whole no bank blueprint is the real deal thing. I mean, it really is having liquidity when everything freezes up so that Washington doesn't control your investing.
It'll come in super clutch. It's going to be life-changing for a lot of people as long as, like you said, they understand how to do it. So
right.
That's the key. So how would somebody come about understanding it? I mean, obviously they would be able to talk to you about it. But I mean, is there any educational pieces that people could go to easily to figure that stuff out?
Jim's stuff is really, really good. Jim Ingersoll's stuff is really, really super. In fact, I had people stop the elevator to tell me how they were trying to finish their story about how great Jim came through for them. They wouldn't even let the elevator proceed until they finished signing it. So it really is good.
I guess.
Yeah. So, and also once you have the knowledge, people need to know, like, and trust you. So you have to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You got to show up at networking events, and if you can join a mastermind, it's been a success principle all the way back to Think and Go Rich. It's been for almost Napoleon Hill wrote that almost 100 years ago or something like that. It's still valid, still fundamental.
Yeah. Awesome, man. That's some good stuff. So one last thing here is you have some webinars that you do on your platform here. So tell us a little bit about what you actually what you guys actually talk about on the webinars. What people can expect if they have never heard your webinars before. They can go to it. How can they get to it, and what can they expect with the webinars that you have?
Okay. Well, the one I do live each week is called Long-Term Profits: How to Create Long-Term Profits with Short-Term Rentals, and it's really about using short-term rentals to make your property, the net income of your property, 5 to 10 times more than as a conventional landlord. That's really what it's about. So we talk about how to use Airbnb differently. I always encourage people to compete against extended stay America and not do really overnight stays. Compete long term, and also about how to do it with a hands-free approach, so that you're not frazzled. That's really important. So the goal is, for my whole philosophy is to maximize your free time. Because you want time with your family. Those are the things that you're gonna regret the most, that you didn't have the time. You may have all the money in the world, but you're stressed out, your marriage is falling apart, your kids hate you. What's the point, right? It's all meaningless. So maximize your free time. So you gotta get smart with it. So I'm encouraging that. Of course, I like to optimize. I optimize short-term rentals, and then also about rental arbitrage, which is huge. Something that's we're able to do that easier than ever before. That's renting someone else's property and setting up a short-term rental business inside there, and knowing how to market so that you bring in $2 to $3 for every $1 you spend, and keeping the difference. And also they keep the maintenance responsibilities, and you keep the cash flow. So that's super, super important. It's probably what I think the your listeners is the easiest way to get involved with creating a passive income stream that I know of, and also a very easy way to do a joint venture inside of your IRA, so that if you put one of these cash flow machines, which really it turns out to be, inside of your retirement account, then you let that thing fund your retirement account and you go about your business. So it's the thing I want people to know the most is that this is possible, and to show them how to do it, and also how I'm doing it and what I'm learning as I'm scaling up that part of my business.
Gotcha. All right.
That's what the webinar's about.
How can they get to the webinars?
They can go to leadinglandlord.com/webinar.
Awesome. And then you pretty much sign up for those, and then they get notifications about when the webinars are going to go live and everything?
Yep,
okay.
They get notification of when my next webinar is. Absolutely.
Perfect. Man, that's great stuff. So that's all I got for you today, Al. We're going to get you back on the podcast, though. We're going to do
I'm coming back. I want to come back.
Awesome. Perfect. Good. So this went well because you want to come back. So that's good. We'll definitely get you on a Facebook Live interview so we can get a little bit more exposure with between our networks. So our network and then yours as well. So that'd be really great to do. So Al, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. We loved it. It was a fun podcast.
Yeah, it's fun.
35 minutes ish. And so got a lot of awesome content out of it. You guys go check his website out, leadinglandlord.com. Actually, it's leadinglandlord.com. I was going to say landlords, but it's landlord.com. Yeah. So that would make more sense. But anyway, Al, thank you so much for being on, and we look forward to having you back.
Hey, thank you so much.
All right. So guys, I'm going to close it down here, but make sure you are subscribed to our podcast, whether you're listening to us on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, or Anchor. We are now on Anchor. This is a new platform that is coming. That is a podcast platform that is for mobile devices. So go check it out. And you can download it on the Google Play Store or iTunes App Store. It is called Anchor, Anchor. And we are on that platform now. So you guys make sure you subscribe to all of us, whether you're listening to us on any platform at all. So also make sure you go check out our social media platforms. We are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and like I said, all of our podcasts. And then go check out our mastermind. So our Real Estate Mastermind coming up in February, 3 weeks from this coming Wednesday. And we are super excited about it. We're going to have a lot of great stuff going on, a lot of awesome people that are going to be in the room. Of course, our mastermind community currently that is growing every single day is going to be there. And then also a lot of new attendees that we're bringing in that are just going to be awesome. And we look forward to having them at the mastermind, which is going to be in Dallas, Texas at the Hilton Garden Inn South. So you guys go check that out at goodsuccess.com/mastermind. You guys can fill out your application there. We don't let just anybody in. So we do have an application. Make sure you fill that out, submit that, and then we'll get back to you as soon as possible. So that's going to do it for today's episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening in. And remember, whether you're looking to survive, thrive, or matter, our goal is to provide the tools to reach your vision. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.